Rio's pitch side, so we can have a little chat with him and see what he thinks about this. Rio, they have conceded almost the most amount in the Champions League. The only people that have conceded more are two teams that are actually out the competition, but they also are nearly top scorers as well. The two teams that have scored more of them have actually gone through and qualified for the knockouts already. It's a really strange situation that they're in.
Yeah, it is, but I think they've got to look at themselves. I think you can't go into a Champions League campaign and score 9 goals in 3 away games and have 1 point at the end of it. I think that shows you that there's a lack of balance in the team at the moment. Yes, they can get goals, and yes, they are attacking at will and creating chances, many of them coming through Bruno, but I think defensively they just made mistakes. I think the keeper today has to hold his hands up and say, yep, I was at fault for a couple of goals, and he should do better. But I think the manager will be scratching his head and thinking, listen, the game plan first half worked perfectly, and then when all of a sudden they score a goal, it changes the dynamic of the game. They were 2-0 up, 2-1, and you're thinking, wow, I set the team up perfectly well, they executed, but then a mistake costs us. And again, at 3-1, the same again. So I think there's a lot of question marks in the performances and the way that they're going about things at the moment. But balance, for me, is one of the key aspects that they've got to really find. And we mentioned in commentary scars from throwing away leads. Those are hard to get away. You've got to really manage games, and he mentioned that himself, Bruno. You've got to go about managing games correctly, and they've got to do that not over 1 or 2 or 3 games. They've got to do that over a period of games now, so they can erase those scars that they've created and they've grown through bad results and throwing away leads, especially in Europe.
Rio, you were obviously a centre-half, and when you see the chaos that's happening right in front of you, would you expect more from Lindelof and Maguire just to calm the game down, especially when you're 2-0 up, 3-1 up, players are still flying off, and you have to admire it a little bit that they're still trying to score goals and go for the throat. But the game's won at that point. What would you expect from players in front of you once you're 2-0 up, 3-1 up in a big European game?
I'd want composure. I'd want to be more calculated in your runs, calculated in your positions. Be a little bit more conservative at times, maybe. Get your foot on the ball, ride the game out, take fouls, make fouls. And I think that comes with communication. You played behind me, Paul, and I was one for always shouting if the ball weren't being held up. And I think you want the ball to get into the final third for your team, then maintain possession. I think sometimes we get into that area at the top of the pitch and it's about, let's get a shot off straight away. I understand that, but sometimes get the other team back in their own half. It's a long way back to get to your goal then, and take the basketball kind of nature out of the game. And that didn't happen today, and that comes with experience. And there's those leaders like Harry Maguire, who I thought played well today, actually. But then there's other parts of the game sometimes where that communication and that grabbing people and pulling people into positions and saying, listen, you stay there and make us hard to play against, make us hard to beat now. And I didn't see enough of that maybe today.
Rio, I think the balance in midfield has been an issue all season. I know Scholes makes a point about Lindelof and Maguire because they're captains of their country. But I think that today was the balance of the midfield. I just think that there's no protection in there. Rio, if I was doing that, you would have moaned at me all game. You would have said, Owen, where are you going? Why are you running up there? Why are you in the box? Why are you shooting? We're 2-0 up. I think that the midfield balance has been an issue all season, and that's something they got to fix. I know the centre-backs, you talk about the experience, but I just feel like the midfield has been an issue all season, Scholes. Yeah,
I totally agree. It has been. He can't seem to get it right. I think ideally he's a very attacking manager and he'd like to just play one holding midfield player and the rest of them go forward, which is what he did at Ajax. But that one player they have in there, Amrabat, Mainu possibly might be good enough at doing that, at controlling games of football. We've seen glimpses of it again tonight when he came on. He came on at a very difficult time tonight, but he looks a man who could control games of football to me. I'm not sure Casemiro's that type unless he's got the right players around him. So I think Owen's right. Getting the balance of the team, it's been a big problem for him. Can he play the 1? Can he play the 2? He's struggled either way to really find a way of winning games and being dominant in games.
Rio, it might be out of their hands by the time the game against Bayern Munich at Old Trafford happens, but do you think they can win that game? Do you know what, Rio? Finish off what you're going to say and then you can answer my question. Go on.
No, I was going to go back to that point. They were talking about the balance in midfield and finding that right blend. In the first half, they'd done that. It was a mistake that undone that, the goalkeeper making a mistake. But in the first half, I was asking for him to look a little bit comfortable and enjoy sometimes being penned back on the edge of your box, bank of 4 and a bank of 5 and not allowing big gaps between the midfield and the defenders and allowing them to go wide. They were doing that, but then it's about doing that consistency, doing that rep after rep after rep, and that's where I think maybe sometimes there's a bit of immaturity, maybe boredom creeps in and someone jumps out and then they go, oh, we're out of shape, and they look very, very kind of open at them times. And I think then that's when you need the voice to say, well, get back in here, stay in here with me, keep it the way it is, because they got the players on the break. Rasmus Højlund on the break is phenomenal. The manager said that's one of the reasons he's in the team today. The two wide players, Anthony had the beating of the fullback today, and Garnacho could get in at will. When you've got those 3+ of players on the counter-attack, you can afford to sit back and be compact. And they were at times, but again, not for long enough periods.